Hi guys, welcome back to the Talking Reality podcast. In today's episode, we are discussing the richest man on the planet.
That's right, guys. Elon Musk, the man who has financed this podcast and a few of these tattoos. What's his net worth?
$218.1 billion. And we're going to be discussing whether or not you should be excited or extremely worried about the future he's creating.
So let's jump straight into this one. You know what this looks like?
What does it look like?
That Spider-Man meme when he's like,
Yeah, it does actually.
because you've been through my wardrobe, haven't you?
Well, the sad thing is, mate, you've copied me, but
I don't think I have though.
you have.
No.
All you got to do is take that hat off and then that's it.
It's the Spider-Man meme.
That's what I mean. Anyway, real question: how does or where does a 50-year-old billionaire? Where does he start? What was his childhood like?
Well, the research that we did, he actually didn't have a very good childhood at all, did he? Had an abusive father, bit of a nerd in school, bullied, short. Sounds like you. It's a short CV. We made a mistake here.
There's nothing in here about him being short. Why have you mentioned that? This is another one of your immature tactics.
I thought we had a mix-up. It's all right.
No, you're so immature. But carry on. Also, I was bullied slightly in primary school, but I wasn't a nerd. So, actually, I kind of was.
Says that with her Transformers lunch bag.
I didn't have a Transformers lunch bag. Grow up. Anyway, so he didn't have the best childhood, did he? He was bullied, but one thing his mother said was he was exceptionally intelligent. And I think that's probably one of the reasons he was bullied. He would just literally read something, boom, and he'd like just remember it. He was just like almost like a child genius.
But he had like this affinity for coding and gaming, didn't he? I think that's where it started.
Yeah, well, he said, didn't he, that he found he sought like comfort in gaming, really, because he didn't have a lot of friends. His dad was by all accounts, he described his dad as a terrible human being, violent.
Yeah,
didn't treat his mum very well.
Quite an introverted guy then.
Yeah, and then obviously I imagine that the way he kind of coped with all that stress was through gaming. To be fair, a lot of people do that, don't they? And there's a lot of people that.
Well, it's a form of escapism, isn't it? Like if you're gaming, you can be who you want.
Yeah.
And I guess he's kind of taken that, but actually become the guy that he wants. Because there's so many people, they reference him now as like the real life Iron Man, don't they? Because he builds and creates anything he wants. Like he made like that flamethrower. He puts a car on a rocket. Do you know what I mean? He
does whatever the fuck he wants.
He does now, yeah.
It's just no fucks given.
He's at that
point. Yeah, I think it's interesting to see that he came from, well, ultimately quite a difficult and shit childhood, didn't he? Really, all that the violence, the bullying, all that sort of negativity. Perhaps I think he has said in interviews it's been a big catalyst in him wanting to become successful.
Yeah.
So
I think it drives you either one way or the other, doesn't it?
For sure, man.
But he had some great role models as well, didn't he?
Wow, big fan of. He's a huge fan of Neil Armstrong. And who's the other one? Gene Cernan.
Yeah.
Yeah, the astronauts, and he obviously had a significant interest in space, and getting out there and exploring the universe, which obviously has led him to the position he is in life now. I think one of the interesting things is how he actually made his money, though.
I think it was kind of by chance, so wasn't it, with the PayPal, wasn't it?
Well,
because the early days of the internet, no one really understood what it was, its capabilities, and it's like anything that's new, there's always some resistance, isn't there?
Well, you look at like some of the most successful people now, like him, Jeff Bezos, Bill Gates. They all saw a massive opportunity and just took it.
Yeah,
and I think that's where, like, because obviously the inspiration for this podcast episode came from me having an argument with my sister about whether or not Elon Musk I guess, is a positive influence in the world, and whether or not there should be billionaires. But when you look at where he started and having that drive and the idea to just run with something, it's difficult. What's your perspective on whether or not there should be billionaires?
Well, I can see where she's coming from in terms of no one individual should have acquired that amount of wealth. When you look at how much like poverty is a problem in the world, right? So I understand her sort of annoyance almost of the fact that there are billionaires, and a lot of billionaires, if you think about it, they don't have the best of reputations, do they? Do you know what I mean? They're always involved in some form of corruption.
Well, his first wife described him as a narcissist. Didn't treat her particularly well,
Right.
and that often tends to be a common character trait with very successful, specifically men. They're quite narcissistic.
Yeah, I think they can lack social intelligence. Like a lot of them seem to sort of sack a lot of people off, so their time is always on the business, and that's where their mind is at. So there's been loads of entrepreneurs of similar status that say that they don't pick up the phone unless it's completely necessary, like urgent. So they're sacrificing relationships with friends, family, and you think if you are in a relationship with that guy, from your perspective, it's not very like nutritional, is it? Like it's not beneficial for you mentally, is it?
Yeah, but then I suppose perhaps Elon's argument is going to be that what he's driving to do, that all the things he's, the changes he's trying to make with electric vehicles, getting us to Mars, everything he's trying to do, he may argue that's bigger than his relationship.
Yeah, I think he feels he has a higher purpose, and I'm a believer in that. Like I obviously am a fan of Elon, and I do believe he has a higher purpose.
Well, he paid for these microphones, didn't he?
Yeah, he's funding the podcast. It's a good guy, isn't he?
He's a good guy, man.
But yeah, I look at the things he's doing and the things that he's trying to achieve, the vision that he has. Only a billionaire could do that, because no one else would have the financial resources to research these things, like space travel and getting us to Mars. If we left it down to the government to find us a new planet to live on, it would never happen. And actually, we are so fragile as a planet. There's always like near misses with asteroids and those sort of things, and obviously they cleaned out the dinosaurs. Like we could be next at any moment, and that's something a politician just wouldn't be concerned with. And I think you said earlier, didn't you, that like they are in power for 4 or 5 years or whatever, and it's like, I've done my bit.
Apart from Vlad.
Yeah, because he's just law to himself, isn't he?
Exactly. But I think one of the problems is that whether or not we like the fact people are billionaires, they are. Like, we're not going to. You can dislike the system, but unfortunately, it's a system we live in.
Yeah.
But what inspires me is that when you see somebody in that position, such as Elon, and from what I have seen of him and how I've studied him, because I am a fan of his, if I'm completely honest. I think he's doing great things for this planet.
Yeah.
He's in that position of power, and from how I see it, he's using it to do good. So yeah, he made his money through PayPal. What did he sold it for? Well, when PayPal sold, he made $165 million, which some people might have said, "Do you know what?
That's me. I'm out.
That's me. I'm out." And they'd be on an island somewhere.
I'm living in the Virgin Islands now.
Exactly. And he could just said, "I'm done." Just go and live, the Dan Bilzerian lifestyle.
No dig at Richard Branson,
No, but he could have just said, "I'll go and live the Dan Bilzerian lifestyle. I'll just play poker, have models all around me, fly around in private jets." But like when we get into the struggles that Elon's been through to get to where he is,
yeah.
Like I do think you've got to look at this guy and think this isn't just like an eccentric billionaire. This is someone who has a real drive to bring change. So obviously,
but what other billionaire is actually doing what he's doing? Most billionaires are buying football clubs,
well,
buying yachts.
Bezos, you can't.
Bezos hasn't got an interest in humanity. Do you know what I mean? Like, you look at the way he treats his employees, right? So he's an anomaly, I think, amongst billionaires. Because who's actually thinking long term, the future of like mankind? Like no one's really thinking like that, are they?
I would agree, and I think that you know when we get into like what he's done with Tesla, and the way that company nearly went to on the brink of extinction, the risks that he's taken, all from what it appears, for the greater good. I don't know. I just find it difficult. I know he's a very like polarizing character, isn't he, Elon? A lot of people dislike him. Personally, I can't see it, but I know there are obviously flaws in what he does. Of course there is. No one's perfect. But, I mean, if we get into SpaceX, for example, so, he said that the drive for SpaceX came from his childhood obsessions, really, with Neil Armstrong and Gene Cernan. And obviously there was that famous interview, wasn't it, that they questioned him because Neil Armstrong and Gene Cernan aren't particularly fond of Elon's.
And he was quite upset by that because that's his childhood heroes. That's his like David Beckham, Ronaldo. The people that we looked up to. That's what Armstrong is for him.
Would you feel the same way if Ronaldo and Beckham said you were shit at football?
Well, no, because there's truth in that.
Exactly, but no, I'm sorry, but
this guy, what's he on about?
No, but the reason why I bring that up is because this is one of the things that inspires me about Elon Musk. Is despite the fact, the two people that were the inspiration for him wanting to do this, right, don't believe in it. Like, how many people would give up on their mission statement?
Oh, they'd throw in a towel, man, for sure.
If their idols were like, "What are you doing, man? Like, this is wrong. Like, for whatever reason, this isn't the right thing to do." But Elon believes so fundamentally in it that we need to have a civilization on Mars. It's integral for the future of the human race.
Yeah, he's got extreme self-belief to override what they're saying and do it anyway. But if you look at like the three of his main companies, right? So you got Tesla, SpaceX, and what was it? The
Neuralink?
Not the Neuralink, but the Neuralink as well. But what's the tunnel one he's got?
I'm not sure, man.
Is it the Boring Company, I think it's called?
Yeah, it's got the Boring Company, yeah.
Yeah. So, all four of them, if you look at them, they're all looking to benefit mankind, aren't they? In some way or form.
On the face of things, anyway. When
there's
you look at it.
There's debate versus if you looked at like, what does like Roman Abramovich own? A yacht.
You don't own fuck all, mate.
If you look at his history, like, what has he bought in the past?
He doesn't, does he? He doesn't own fuck all.
What?
He doesn't own fuck all.
I said, yeah, but if you look at what he's bought in the past and you're comparing it to what Elon's done throughout his history, then
I agree
they're worlds
with you,
apart, aren't they? Because one's about me. This is my football club. I do what I want, right? This is my yacht. I take it where I want. Or there's something that's selfless about creating companies that are there to benefit mankind for future generations.
Yeah, but there's got to be a level, like especially with Mars.
Yeah,
like the SpaceX drive to get us to Mars.
Are we going to Mars?
Well, if he gets there within our...
Would you go?
Within our lifetime, 100%, man. TRP on Mars, baby. We'll film our first episode on Mars.
You can't come back.
It's a one-way ticket, man.
Yeah, that's fine.
There's no launch pad to get us back, man.
Well, he reckons he will be able to get us back.
Eventually. But it's like a 14-month trip, isn't it?
Yes, I believe so. 14-month trip. So
think how skinny you'll become when you're up there. 14 months out the gym, man. Jesus. Won't be able to see him on the next podcast. Be falling down that sofa. I could keep going, boys.
Mate.
But I won't, because we're talking about Elon Musk. So back in the room, guys.
Fucking hell. He's put 20 pence in you, mate.
It's the coffee, man.
That's the most energy I've seen you on this podcast so far.
The MP16 coffee.
No, but SpaceX. So we did a bit of research, didn't we, on SpaceX? And... Well, he wants to get us to Mars in 2024.
It's very optimistic, isn't it?
Well, he originally said 2022.
I think he's gone up to 2050 now.
No.
Is it not?
He wants to get us... No. This is where you need to do your research effectively, mate. So he plans to get 1 million people on Mars.
Oh, by 2050, that's right. Yeah.
You didn't do your research, did you, mate? You did your research abusing me about being skinny, but you didn't do your Elon research. You got to remember, this is an Elon episode, not an abused cookie episode.
Your height is coming through the mic. Let's stop this.
Right, carry on.
Yeah. Still optimistic though, isn't it?
Hold on. We
haven't been back to the moon yet, and
no, but then hey, he's a man who's got big dreams. But let's listen to the reasons. So Elon's reasons for getting us to Mars, for the future of life itself.
Mm-hmm.
And this is word for word what Elon says. There have to be things that inspire you, that move your heart. When you wake up in the morning, you are excited about the future.
Yeah.
And when I think about that, I think, yeah, like, what an incredible dream to have. Like, personally, I think it'd be amazing. Like, for some people, they're like, I was talking to somebody about it last night, about whether or not it's a good thing that we, if we could get to Mars. And she was like, I just don't get it. It's almost like it's just an egotistical thing for him. Like, look at me, look at what I'm doing. But it's like, this planet has, it will die. And we are killing this planet.
Clearly,
realistically, aren't we? And, if everything becomes successful with, all the things he's planning with the Neuralink, and medical science continues to improve in the way that it is, we're going to overpopulate this planet, and there has to be a contingency plan. And I think that's really what he's putting into place, and, well, he said himself, like a life-ending event on Earth could spell the end of humanity, and if there's not that contingency plan where the life is, left this planet. And
that's what I'm saying. And politicians are not interested in this because they're all short-term minded. It's all.
But they have to be, don't they?
Yeah, but
they got to fix today's problems, not 50 to 100 years problems.
Yeah, but that's irrational. When if you're not looking down the road, we could all be wiped out. It could be the end of mankind. And this is why you need a billionaire who's actually, because he's not your average billionaire, is he? Like, he's got a physics degree, so he has some understanding of the businesses that he's investing in. He's not just a guy who's acquiring, estates and businesses. He actually has an understanding of like the astrophysics. So he's got a passion for it himself. When you've got a guy like that, and he's got the drive, and he's got an element of like selfishness in him to get us off this planet. Like, where else are you going to see that? You're just not going to see that, are you? In any other billionaire or politician, they just do not care. Like you said, it's short-term problems that they want to fix.
Well, they're just trying to, either trying to stop Vladimir Putin or trying to hide the fact they've been to another party. Do you know what I mean? That's it.
And doing a load of coke.
To be fair, there is a cocaine problem in Parliament, but
yeah.
Hey, I personally think when I look at his plans to get us to Mars, I think it's an amazing thing, an amazing dream, and I hope he succeeds. And if he does, then guys, you will see the TRP on Mars. But yeah, Tesla. Tesla's obviously was the first big success, I'd say, of Elon's, besides PayPal, but I mean on a global scale.
Yeah, and it's the significant
in terms of real revolutionary change.
Yeah, and it's a significant one because it nearly went under, and then he ploughed a load of his personal fortune in, borrowed money, that he poured that off, and then he got a loan from Obama.
Yeah,
so it's like 475 mil.
465 million. You haven't done your research at all, man. Well, I'll tell you what's happened. I've done all the research, gave Mike the research, and then he's basically read it for 10 minutes before and left it all to me. Right, I'm carrying this podcast.
Reel off the facts.
I'm not reeling off any facts. This is you were speaking, man. Sorry to interrupt you.
Well, let me continue then.
Continue.
Because I know what happened next.
Go on then.
So he used that money, reinvested. The Model S went well. And he actually paid that back to the US taxpayer with interest. So,
do you know how much interest it was?
And nor do you, because I know you didn't write that one down.
20 million.
I don't think you wrote that down.
20 million.
Well, I can't. I don't
need to write it down.
Oh, it's up there, is it?
I've already got the Neuralink, baby. It's photographic memory in here.
Okay. We haven't got onto that, mate.
No, I know.
Carry on.
No, but obviously it's gone from strength to strength, obviously from there. And we've obviously monitored Tesla's share price quite a lot, haven't we?
Yeah.
Well, you have. Jesus Christ. That's what dictates your mood most days.
It can do.
Tesla's share price.
It can do. It can do.
How much have you spent on Tesla shares so far?
20k probably. But it's 9k up overall, so...
Fucking hell, big boy.
Well, the thing is, like I said, you've got a guy there who actually knows what he's creating, whereas it's not just someone who's got a company and taken over and has no idea.
Yes.
Like when we did research Tesla, we did look, didn't we? When he had the problem with the Model S, he actually he visited the factory, didn't he, and actually saw, well, why isn't this profitable?
Well, he literally
he resolved it.
Slept in the factories, man. He was there, hands on. Find out what's wrong with this problem, and he's like, "Oh, we're going to fix this."
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? A lot of people, man, would have handed in the towel.
Yeah, they would have. They would have sold up.
What was it in 2008? That was when they had the significant problems, wasn't it? The financial crash.
Yeah, because that was a rough year for him because the rockets were exploding with SpaceX.
Well, they got to one point in September 2008. All they had left was $500,000 in the bank.
That was the recession, wasn't it?
Yeah.
It also killed him. Yeah.
Yeah, but you think, man, that's
how many
literally...
people? Yeah, but how many people would have thrown in the towel at that point? Because he still had like a 20 mil personal fortune.
Yeah, but he said literally Tesla had weeks to go. It was literally that desperate.
And I'm there looking at trading 212 and sweating on a couple of grand down.
Exactly.
And he's here like, this is my personal fortune, just 20 mil down
he was
the
ready
drain.
to pump it in. But anyway,
Crazy.
They obviously get over that.
Mm-hmm.
Take that massive loan of $465 million from Barack Obama and the American people.
Mm-hmm.
Turns out to do phenomenally well. And then, it's obviously gone from strength to strength. But I think we were talking earlier, weren't we, about how I've just got this opinion that electric cars, well, they are the future, aren't they? And Elon and Tesla are leading the way in terms of how we solve that problem. But there are issues with it, aren't there?
Yeah, there's some controversy over like the carbon emissions. So the idea of an EV is obviously to bring that level down, isn't it?
Of course, yeah.
But then you look at like the gigafactories built in Texas. It's enormous, man. It's huge. And then people are saying, oh, well, how much is that giving it? How much is that emitting? Do you know what I mean? So there is a bit of controversy. But I think overall, it's probably a good idea to go EV over what we have now. So I don't disagree with it. I know your sister would.
I don't know if you disagree with it. I think what it is like, because I am conscious of sitting here proper like hyping Elon, hyping everything he's doing. There's no way that everything he's doing, there's not victims in this.
No one's perfect, man.
Exactly, but he's not perfect. But it's like what he's doing is on such a grand scale. Do you know what I mean? And I think you think about his net worth, $218 billion. Right, and then you see...
Could have a lot of fun with that.
I mean, yeah, you obviously could have a lot of fun with that, like we said, but he's not there to have fun.
No, he's not that type of guy.
He's there to bring change, isn't he?
Yeah.
But, people do have a significant problem with one individual having access to that amount of power.
Well, I think part of it is down to, like, humans aren't perfect, are they? Right? And his narratives they're not going to be the same as other people's.
No.
So if you are one of the people that disagree with his narrative, that's dangerous if you're that individual. You're going to feel intimidated, aren't you? Because you've got this guy who has this what appears to be an unlimited source of finances, and if he's imposing his power, like buying Twitter, which is hugely influential, then perhaps your future, you're looking at it and you're going to be afraid, aren't you?
It is scary at the same time. Yeah, I agree.
For example, think if Putin had that money, you would be afraid, wouldn't you? If he had that money, the intellect, and the...
Well, he probably doesn't have far off that kind of money.
Do you reckon?
Well, look at what he's doing. Those Russians have got wealth. I mean, currently they're doing whatever the fuck they want.
True.
Like
that's another podcast, though, isn't it? Anyway,
that is another podcast in itself. But that ultimately feeds my sister's point in that when a dangerous individual does have access to billions of pounds and power, it is quite scary. Yeah. It really is quite scary. The victims of that crime. Another way you could
like
look
the
at
guys in Number 10.
Well, exactly. But another way you could look at it is you look at like where the FIFA are holding the World Cup, and all the money that's being pumped into that. And we're going to have a World Cup in a country. I'm digressing slightly, but we're going to have a World Cup in a country where it's illegal to be a homosexual, and hundreds or if not thousands of people have died.
Doesn't fit with Western values.
Exactly. So then,
I agree.
I get my sister's point in that very, 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 very wealthy people with power very often create a lot of victims. But my sense with Elon is that he's not. His drive to do good is far more significant than his drive to do bad.
He's Tony Stark.
If anything, he is the real life version of Tony Stark.
I would agree. I would like to think he's a force for good. And I think you can kind of, I guess people would disagree. Some people will disagree. You can kind of see that with the Neuralink, can't you? Like what he's trying to achieve through having a chip embedded in your skull, and overcoming problems, like cognitive issues like Alzheimer's and Parkinson's, yeah, and like things affecting your motor cortex, paralysis, all these sort of things that just don't have a cure in modern medicine right now. He is saying that would be the future of the Neuralink. That's what they're going for. This is the plan, and we want to eradicate these problems from the past. But then you got people then afraid that, what if he's programming my brain to do things that I do not want to do, or manipulate me in ways that shouldn't be happening. There's an ethical issue, isn't there? I think.
The ethics of the Neuralink is a big one, man, because I think people naturally have some sense of fear. It does promote fear. To be honest,
of course, it's very invasive, isn't it?
It promotes fear. Well, yeah, it's like what they say is a chip the size of a coin that will be implanted into your brain by a robot.
Mm-hmm. And then there's electrodes,
it's like iRobot shit, man.
Yeah, stimulating every part of your brain. So, like, obviously, your brain's divided into sections. This Neuralink will be able to stimulate the signals from each section, controlling whatever. So, sensory, motor, hormone production. The possibilities are endless if you can get this to work.
Absolutely, man.
And I know he spoke about being able to have like photographic memory. And I guess his argument for it is, he said before, as in on like previous podcasts, where he said that we're basically halfway there anyway. We're half cyborg. We're all attached to our phones. If you leave your phone at home before you go to work, you feel like you've lost a limb. Do you know what I mean?
Not so much of that with these, mate.
Well,
you think that's why we even walk around with these digital devices attached to us now.
Exactly. So
actually physically,
and that's his point. He's saying we're already halfway there. We're just taking this from your wrist and we're putting it up.
And you're being tracked everywhere you go.
Yeah, and I think that's where the fear is, isn't it?
But then I suppose the Neuralink.
It's understandable.
The Neuralink is far more invasive, but.
And I think they said the human trials will be starting sometime this year.
Yeah, human trials will begin this year because they've already got FDA approval.
Yeah. So that'll be interesting.
In itself was quite scary, man. You think it's just moving so quickly. And like, if it's something you fear and you're completely against, God, you must have significant, like, I can understand why potentially people like my sister and other people who share those views, of which there's many, you would be quite worried.
Yeah, of course, it is playing God, but loads of scientific research isn't it?
But the Neuralink is a whole new level, man. It's a whole new level to stem cell research. Is putting a chip in people's brains, and there's obviously it presents that other ethical question: is can these be hacked? Obviously, there'll be some form of technology to be able to hack these. Definitely.
Like the BBC got hacked the other day.
The BBC
said Leeds United was shit or something, didn't they?
No, Manchester United.
It's all United,
idiot.
though, isn't it? It's all United.
No, it's not all United. You dumb idiot. And carry on.
He said he's a Leeds supporter.
Oh, mate. Yeah, I am a Leeds supporter.
Mate, it's an easy mistake because it sounded true.
No, it didn't.
You nearly got relegated. You can't argue with that.
Yeah, but mate, we performed The Great Escape last day of the season,
BBC
man.
were telling the truth. That's all I'm saying, man.
Yeah, because Manchester United are rubbish. I agree.
But yes, you're right. It does present an opportunity for things to be hacked.
Exactly.
You see that through, online all the time, your social media accounts.
Everyone, loads of people's things keep getting hacked,
It's
isn't
getting
it?
more and more common,
Yeah.
for sure. Keep getting messages of people, what is it? Those like quick money schemes.
Yeah.
Keep getting
Do you want to make $2,000 in like 2
Yeah.
days or some shit like that? Yeah.
Mhm.
It's gonna happen to so many people, man. Or if a lot of people as well have had OnlyFans accounts set up for them. Although,
I think that's just a cover story, man. I think they're actually just doing OnlyFans.
no, there's a few of them that have been hacked, man. But that's got to be a question in people's minds, and I think that's one of the things that divides opinion on Elon Musk, because I think it is scary to think if we only focus on the positives of what the Neuralink can bring, then we could be presented with some really significant problems as humanity.
Yeah, but it goes back to that point about narrative and perspective. Like, if they don't align with the guy who's in control of all this, then you're in a bad place, aren't you?
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? So if you're not a believer in what he believes in, then it's going to feel like complete dictatorship on a scale that we've never seen before. Like, think how easy it would be to radicalize people if you can just
that's a good point.
replay all the negative stuff in the world and manipulate it in someone's brain. It would just be so easy. And that's another point that he mentioned on a podcast, didn't he, about having the ability to draw up memories. So obviously they want to cure like Alzheimer's, but they also want to improve memory to the point where you would remember things with clarity to the point it's almost photographic memory, and then you can replay these memories.
And there's a lot of Aston Villa seasons you don't want to remember, son. Especially those championship years.
Yeah, but we can delete
and
them.
the Gabby Agbonlahor years. You don't want to remember them, son, and I know that for sure.
We got Coutinho now, so it doesn't matter.
Carry on.
Yeah, you are right. There's memories that you're not going to want to replay, but it would open. It's that thing, isn't it? Once the Pandora's box is open, is it something you want, or is
there's no going back, man? And you don't know till you take the step.
Yeah, and I think when Elon went on Joe Rogan's podcast, he did, like Joe was saying, that he likes the element of nostalgia, right? So the idea that you can sit around with your mates and chat about old times in school, messing about, and you can add little extras in.
Well, you do that. How many times have you done that?
I don't know.
You tell a story and you add 110% to it.
Sometimes I juice it up.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
whereas I'm going to have photographic memory of it and know you're lying.
Yeah, but at least I don't get, the calculations wrong. Like, you say, oh yeah, we had a brawl for 20 minutes. Bear in mind, Anthony Joshua fights for 30 odd minutes with 2-minute intervals for rest. And you're saying you went non-stop in a fight for 20 minutes. I mean, you're going to get caught out there, aren't you, with the Neuralink?
Nah, yeah, to be fair, that fight was more like 2 minutes. But the thing is, when you're having a fight, it feels like it's gone on forever, man. Especially when you're your ass kicked.
I just think
to be fair, we were winning.
Your maths is poor, man.
No, it was like Green Street, man.
What about Neuralink and nudes?
Neuralink and nudes.
You get divorced,
Yeah.
and then are they going to put something in a contract that you've got to delete all the brain memories?
Delete the news. That's actually a really good point.
That is a good point, man.
Yeah, but you'd have to go in. You have to go into some form of surgery and be like, "What are you in for? Delete my ex's nudes." Yeah, no worries.
Well, they just delete
fifth door on the right.
You just delete it from whatever computer database that is operating on, wouldn't you? And just
it is an interesting point, though.
That is a good point.
There's so many problems it can produce.
Yeah.
And you were saying, about how it potentially deletes universities.
Oh, it makes university
obsolete.
could
become completely obsolete.
Yeah.
Because we've spent years getting our degrees now, but if you can the Neuralink can help you learn that information far, far quicker.
Yeah.
Then
and I think that's the vision for it. Because
that £9,000 a year can be spent a lot more efficiently, man.
Yeah, but that is the vision for it. Elon did say that it will be able to give you skills and learn things quicker. So like you said, your degree would just become a paywall where you just download it to the chip in your brain and bang. There's like muscle memory and everything. You now know what you're doing.
It can't work like that, though, because otherwise everyone could be a doctor, everyone will be an engineer, everyone will be... It would just be do you know what I mean?
Unless you don't believe in it and you're left behind.
Well, yeah, that's the thing. Not everyone...
Well, think about it, man. Like, look at the way technology's progressed, right? Like, my grandparents wouldn't have a clue about WhatsApp or anything like that,
No.
or the fact that you can have a video call from your phone. That would blow their mind because they're so left in the old world, right? So it's one of those, like, you either get on board with it or you get left in the old world. And I think the Neuralink will become that. You either get on board with it, right, and you might have almost superhuman powers of being able to, download your uni degree, or you stay in like your grandparents' world where they haven't got a clue what's going on. Like, think about it. In their
They do
day,
have a clue what's going on, but I think, there's
no, but think about it. Like, in their day, they wouldn't have been able to order their shopping online. It just appears at the door with a guy who's just unloading the van for you. Do you know what I mean? And certainly like my grandparents when they were alive, of course they were aware of that eventually, but it had been around for years before they realised that that's an option, because they weren't really into like computers and the internet. They didn't have a clue.
Yeah, I get what you're saying, man.
There's a divide. You can see it now, man. It's happening because technology is moving so rapidly. It used to be just some old people can't configure computers. Now it's old people or people that haven't kept up with the tech are just, how do you operate Snapchat? How do you operate this? How do you operate an iPad? Do you know what I mean? It's just one of those things that it moves so fast. If you don't keep up to date, you'll be left behind.
Do you think we should be more excited or more worried about what Elon's doing?
Bit of both, I would say. A bit of both. Society could easily become very controlled. It's a hard one, man. There's a lot of benefits, but there's things that could go very wrong.
I would agree with you. You think about
but you wouldn't want to be left behind. That I think that's the biggest thing. I think, again, like Elon said something about communicating and how we would just fire messages back and forth. Well, think about if me and you were doing that, right? But Gaz is like, no, boys, I want to go the old way. I want a conversation with someone. Well, how many people are going to be doing that still and not involved in what, like, we could be talking about something and Gaz can't even hear us.
Yeah, it could create significant divides.
Because he's on the old system.
And you were saying, weren't you, about how, was it Elon suggested or Joe Rogan suggested that eventually there'll be no such thing as talking. We'll just all communicate through our brains.
Yeah, it'll just be
there'll
firing.
be no such thing as speech and language.
Yeah, and I think stuff like instant messenger, I think that is the infancy of that process. Like
I would agree with that, man.
That's the infancy of it, because now we fire messages, we don't meet up as much. We're even able to fire videos and
how many times have you, like, I know personally, how many times have you been on a date, right, with someone who is so, like, they communicate so well over like Tinder or whatever the messaging site is, right? You go and meet them and they can't speak to you. So it's almost like you're right. It's almost in its infancy right now.
Because it erodes the social skills and the ability to this like interaction.
In your grandparents' day, that wasn't a problem, because all those communications initially in the start of a relationship would be face to face.
And it normalizes it, because you look like, my nan would always say, we knew everyone in the street, and you could say hello to the random person waiting at the bus stop, and it'd be perfectly fine. If you do that now, they're ringing the police. Do you know what I mean? Like, and that's because it's become socially acceptable to ignore the person or think they're weird.
Well, you think
or
about
vice
it, man.
versa, that you shouldn't talk to the stranger.
They're walking down the road, right? And there was going to be an opportunity to say hello to somebody, and they'll get their phone out, so they're so like
a decoy.
Yes,
because they don't want that interaction.
Or Roger, how you doing, mate? And like, your phone's off, Shay.
Because we've eroded our social capabilities so much that we now feel awkward in a completely natural situation with another human being.
I know.
That we have to decoy it, cross the road, get on our phone, or look the other way.
Yes, you think about how much of your life depends on machines already, man. But I think the other big thing he's doing, which personally I'm quite worried about, well, I know a lot of people aren't, but what he's doing with Twitter, obviously trying to buy Twitter, and he wants to create an arena for free speech, doesn't he? For me personally, like, I agree with the principle of free speech. I absolutely do. But then it's difficult when you see what Donald Trump was doing and the amount of like negativity he was causing through his tweets and literally causing violence. It's difficult, isn't it? There is a real, and then, Elon's of the opinion that what he said that in an interview, with that TEDx interview he did, that he thinks it needs to be so significant, the breach of what you do on Twitter, in order to get a ban, that he really promotes free speech. But I think you can open the door to some really, difficult things if there's this complete free speech.
Yeah, I think with Twitter, I think historically they got a nature of being a bit loose, haven't they, with the content that they will allow on there. I think they've tried to cut down on it, but for example, if there's like like years ago there were those ISIS videos going around, of executions and stuff, where Twitter were happy for those to float about for ages, and they didn't crack down on them.
Well, it's like that,
versus Facebook.
It's like that shooting, wasn't it, in America recently, where that guy walked in and he killed 10 black people, didn't he?
Yeah, so that's a good point.
But
so,
that was on Twitter. Just,
the one in New York, right?
I think it was in New York.
Yeah. So that one, they did try their best to take it down, right? But Twitter 10 years ago probably wouldn't. So they are changing a little bit. But like you said, is a lot of free speech is problematic, because if there's something that is categorically wrong, like discrimination, sexism, racism, then they shouldn't really be allowed to air that on a platform and promote the narrative.
Completely agree with you, man. So I think in summary, you should be worried about whether or not Elon takes over Twitter, which is, is basically going to happen.
Yeah.
I think there's definitely an argument you should be worried about that.
Of course, yeah.
I think everything else he's doing, from my own personal opinion, I think we should feel excited about what he's trying to do with SpaceX.
Yeah.
And Tesla. I'm undecided on the Neuralink. Undecided. Because of the things we discussed in this podcast.
Yeah.
There's some big questions.
I think Tesla, the Neuralink, and SpaceX, I think they're all exciting things to look forward to. I know Tesla's got like a robot coming out, and Tesla homes. I think it's exciting because I like science. So it's, for me.
Do you not think we should be slightly worried?
Yeah, there should be caution. There should be caution. Absolutely.
Neuralink, though.
Yeah, there should be caution. But I think overall, we can't stop it from happening. Time's moving fast, and I think you either keep up or you get left behind. And that's, for me, the better option is to keep up with it, I think. But yeah, we'll let the viewers decide what they think.
Let us know what you think in the comments. So we're pretty much decided we think you should be excited about what Elon's doing. But tread with caution. That has been the Talking Reality podcast on Elon Musk. Hope you enjoyed it. Give us a like and subscribe. We'd really appreciate it. And we'll see you next time on the TRP.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys.